right, this is part two of our solutions for these Unit 1 review problems. We are on question 8. I'm going to do questions 8 through 13. So, problem number 8 says, when performing a reflection, it is important that you know where the line of reflection is. Well, that's a true statement in itself. To reflect a point, you count how many units it takes to get to the line of reflection. Then you count the same number of units on the opposite side of the line of reflection and plot your new reflected point. So this is true. So this is basically just telling you the process of how reflections work. So if I take a point, call it P, and let's say that my line of reflection was a vertical line. This might be like the y-axis. In order to perform a reflection, first of all, you need to make sure you understand the equations of lines. If you don't understand equations of lines, go back and review our reflections lesson in our Unit 1 folder on Schoology. But to perform a reflection, all I'm doing is taking this point P. I'm going to count how many units it takes. Maybe it's 1, 2, 3, 4 units. So whenever you're doing a reflection, you want to make sure that it has the same number of units on the opposite side, because a reflection should have kind of equal, or it should look like it's a mirror image flipped along this line of reflection. So I got 1, 2, 3, and then this would be P prime. So that'd be how a reflection is done. All right, question 9. Question 9 says, for reflections, it is important to know the line of reflection. So again, it's just emphasizing how important it is to know what your line of reflection is. Lines with the equation x equals a number are vertical. Lines with the equation y equals a number are horizontal. X-axis is the horizontal axis on the coordinate plane. Y-axis is the vertical axis on the coordinate plane. So this is more so just reviewing that you understand how lines work, or the equations of lines work, so you know where the line of reflection is. Because if you don't know where the line of reflection is, a lot of these problems are going to be wrong. All right, so just to reemphasize with this one real quick. So if we had an equation x equals 3, what it means is that if I'm on a coordinate plane, this is my y-axis, this is my x-axis. What it's saying is that this line is always at 1, 2, 3. It's always at 3 on the x-axis. That means it does not move left or right at all. So what they're talking about is just the line that moves up or down, through 3 on the x-coordinate. So that's why x equals a number is vertical. For horizontal lines, we do green. If we had a number y equals -2, what it means is that on the y-axis here, we're at 1, -2. It means that we're at -2 on the y-axis always. There's no up or down change. So they're talking about the line that goes through here. Always stays at -2 on the y-axis. There's no up or down movement. So that's why it's a horizontal line. All right, number 10. Number 10 says, given the transformation above, what is the rule for the transformation? So these figuring out the rules is typically going to be the hardest questions on the test, as well as with this review. But first of all, keep in mind that with reflections, they're mirror images of each other, so really they should be the same distances from the line of reflection. So if I'm looking at, I can look at point A, for example. So point A to point A prime, let's see here, is 1, 2, 3, 4 units away. So that means that if I have 2 units here and 2 units here, that means that my line of reflection goes through this point at least. We know that because it's the same distance away on both sides. We can do the same thing for B real quick. So B is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that means that right here where this splits is 3 and this distance here is 3. That means that this point is on the line of reflection. Since we have 2 points, we can actually draw the line now too. So this would be my line of reflection. And if you understand the equations of lines and how they're written, this is a vertical line. So that means that, and the vertical line is at 2 on the x-axis here. So this is my x-axis again. it means that this line is always at 2 on my x-axis, so that means that the equation of my line is x equals 2. So the rule would be capital R, and then x equals 2 is my line of reflection of ABC. So let me answer the question here, number 10. X equals 2, reflection. All right, let's look at number 11. So number 11, same type of deal. We have a reflection here. Notice how we could start with A. A is 1, 2, 1, 2. So right on the x-axis, we can do the same thing with B. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So that means that yes, the line of reflection is this x-axis here. Oops, not very straight. So this would be a reflection over the x-axis. Question 11. And question 12. Again, these are going to be the more challenging ones because we have the fill in the blanks, so make sure you take your time with these ones especially. Here we have a reflection over the y-axis. So y-axis is the vertical axis here. So we're going to flip over this axis. That means I'm going to take each point. I'm going to count 1, 2 units away, 1, 2. So A prime has to end here because they have to be the same distance on both sides of the line of reflection. For B, I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4 to the right, 1, 2, 3, 4 to the right. So B prime would be right here. And C, notice how C actually falls on the line of reflection. It's on the y-axis. So really it's like 0 units away. So we're going to move 0 units. So that means that C is just not going to move. So C prime is going to be the same as where C's at. So A is at negative 2, 4. B prime is at 4, 2. And C prime is at 0, negative 3 still. So negative 2, 4. 4, 2. And 0, negative 3. All right. Question 13, last problem here. So this problem says, after performing the transformation, reflection over the line y equals 1, determine the new coordinates of our 4 points here. So again, being able to know where these lines of reflections are is extremely important. If we have the equation y equals 1, it means that on my y-axis, I'm always at positive 1. That means there's no left or right movement at all, or excuse me, there's no up or down movement because we have to stay at 1. So that means that this line is going to be this horizontal line that goes through here. Y equals 1. And if I reflect these points, first of all, you should notice that B falls right on there, so that means that B prime is going to stay there. Because if it's on the line of reflection, that's 0 units, so it's not going to move at all. With A, I got to go down 1, 2, so I'll go down 1, 2, so A prime will be right here, which is at 2, negative 1. B, again, stays where it's at, so that's going to be at negative 2, 1 still. C, I got to go up 1, 2, 3, so I go up 1, 2, 3, so C prime is going to be right here, which is at 1, 4. And finally, D is just 1 unit down, so 1 unit more on the other side is right here, which is at 4, 0. So A is at 2, negative 1. See here. B is at negative 2, 1. C, 1, 4. And D is at 4, 0. All right, that's it for questions 8 through 13 on reflections. Stay tuned for the next video.